And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
It's that time of year. Star Wars is coming, and there are many Star Wars games out there. One game that I found interesting when I saw it was basically the Star Wars Box Busters game, where it comes with these little cubes that when you press them, they snap open and show like a little terrain feature of Star Wars. Well, that's cool. And they said it was a game, and there was different sets. You could buy them in a set of one of these or two of them, and you need one to play someone else, so just one doesn't work. And it comes with a die and a chip, and I thought, well, it doesn't look like there's a game in there, but you never know. I mean, the Star Wars games are a mixed batch. Some are good and some are bad. Let's find out what this one is. When you open one of these kits, you get one of these cubes, and you'll notice these cubes here, they're basically made so that you can tap them like this, and then the whole thing comes apart. So here we have the Gungan battle from episode 1. This one here has some stuff from Tatooine on it. This one here has some TIE fighters and the ghost ship. Here we have the Battle of Endor. Here we have the Battle of Hoth. And here we have some X-Wing and TIE fighters fighting each other. Now in reality, all this does is show whether your base's shields are up or whether they've been breached and they're down. And so you're going to have a playmat in front of you. And this playmat is where you're going to place your things. So for example, the one I'm looking at right here is the Rebel TIE Fighter attack. So this is the one I would be using here. And I would place it like this, although the shields would be up at the beginning of the game. So these close pretty easy. You just gotta remember the right order to put them in, which I'm obviously not remembering right now. There we go. And then you place it here with the Star Wars thing on the top, like that. And then each player is going to have a marker here. This is to keep track of your damage. And you also have a couple chips here, and you'll have a die. Now in the basic game, you and your opponent roll the die at the same time. And it's so basic, it's really kind of frustratingly annoying. If you roll hits, you attack your opponent. So let's say I roll 2 hits on my opponent with the die here. Then I do 1 hit to take out the shields and go down to zone 1. And then zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. When I get here, boom, I've blown them up. That's it. A shield blocks a hit. A special will put your shields back up. Not very impressive. Now, when you play the full game, then whenever you roll a symbol, you can place a chip on that symbol as you roll these symbols, and then you can pull those symbols off to do different things. For example, let's say I roll a hit, and then I pull off the special. That does 3 hits to my opponent. And the reason that is important is because now the first hit takes out the shields again. Then it's 1 hit to go to zone 1, 1 hit to go to zone 2, 2 hits to go to zone 3, 2 hits to go to zone 4, 3 hits to go to zone 3. So you have to kind of be careful how many hits you're doing because you want to attack your opponent as quickly as possible. There are other special things that you can do down here, and for some reason I'm showing the French side. But here, for example, if I get a special and a shield, I can negate energy shield for 2 turns, my opponent's shield. If I have 2 specials, I can close my cube once at any time of my choosing. The Battle of Naboo. Here, this is +1 blast on each of your next 3 rolls. Here, you automatically advance to your opponent's next zone. The Battle of Yavin here. Basically, special plus this 3 hits, like normal. Special plus a double hits is 5 hits on your opponent. Or here, score hits on the next 2 areas. So there's some special abilities here. So essentially, though, that's the whole game. You roll dice. You decide whether you're going to put chips here, or if you have chips there, you can add them to the die that you're rolling, and the first person to basically blow up the command center of the opponent is the winner of the game. The special attacks are the same for everyone except for the bottom 2. Those will be different on each one you use. Probably the coolest one is the Battle of Hoth, where you basically can put your shields, you can add dice to your rolls for the rest of the game. But that's how you play. Sometimes you should just make a cool toy and let it go, right? I like the idea of these, to be able to press on them and boom, it opens up and it's a neat thing. And these would be cool to have sitting on my desk or something, you know, some cool little features. I mean, they're not bad. They have little guns and little TIE fighters and X-Wings, and they're painted, and I don't know. I like these things. The gameplay, first of all, the basic game is abysmal. I mean, I can't even imagine kids liking it. Then the advanced game, which I can't even believe. I mean, I understand that not everyone wants to play deep strategy games, but this basic game is for dummies. The advanced game is really simple, so why wouldn't you play it? So adding a chip to the things. The rules are kind of vague on this. You add a chip when you roll the die, and you still do what the die says. But what happens when you pull the chip off and then you add it to another die? Can you take the other die you rolled and put the chip on? We played that you couldn't. In fact, I tried a variant where you could, if you roll the die, you could either do what the die said or add a chip, which is a really good addition to the game. And again, it's kind of like the people who made it are like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, the different special abilities are kind of cool, and it's neat, but I mean, honestly, again, having this just go together, that's cool, but it's essentially just an extra hit. Having your shields go up, I don't know, it was very anticlimactic. I'm looking at this through the eyes, not necessarily of a gamer, but of someone even who has kids, and I can't see them really enjoying it that much because it's just not that interesting. You roll a die and you see what happens. You might add a chip to it and get a cool combination, and some of the cool combinations, in my opinion, are better than the others. I'm not sure these are completely balanced, but essentially this is a game you're going to get bored of really quick, and it's just an excuse to sell this, which honestly looks like it's a toy that comes in a Happy Meal, which is probably what it should have been. In that case, I would have been a lot easier on the game, some light game that came in something, but to go out and buy these, I would only recommend getting these if you want the little cool layouts to put on your desk or whatever you to have out there, or for just kids to play with and pop them open. But since you can't really play with the stuff on them, they're more of a novelty than anything else. And the game itself, rolling a die and seeing what happens, come on now. This is 2015. We should have advanced beyond that point. Dice Tower Judgment, cool toys, but ultimately not much of a game.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
There.